Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, I'm surprised, I'm going to be honest with you, when it comes to Haney versus Davis and their potential matchup, what could be around September, October of this year. I hope, anyway. But it looks more and more like that fight could materialize. And that would be great. But what I was surprised about, fans are really split. A lot of fans feel the same way, right, about both fighters. A lot of fans feel Devin Haney hasn't really fought stern opposition. And they feel Devin Haney, if he steps up to a guy like Tank, he'll get knocked out within a couple of rounds, if not the first round. Now, some people at the same time, they feel that Tank hasn't really faced the type of competition or a fighter like Devin Haney. Now, I kind of beg to differ, but we're talking about what the fans are saying, not my opinion. And if you've been following the channel, you already know my opinion. But I was surprised to find out they feel Tank hasn't really stepped up in competition. He's fighting tomato cans. If he gets in with a guy like Devin, who's a master boxer, Devin will just out-intelligence him, outspeed him to a unanimous victory, possibly stopping Tank Davis. Now, to that, I say hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. But what we can do is take it to the discussion on this whole speed and power. Haney is the faster fighter. Davis definitely has more power. Now you look at Devin Haney, 29 wins, no losses. Man has 15 KOs, so he has a 51% KO ratio. So there's definitely something there in those hands. Respectable power, right? But then you look at Gervonta Tank Davis. This man has 28 wins, no losses, 26 KOs. So he has a 93% KO ratio. That's crazy. So, nonetheless, we're trying to understand, what's more important? Devin Haney and his speed, or Tank Davis and his power? Now, there are a lot of fighters. I've heard trainers say this. And of course the fans, because we're always kind of arguing about which attribute is more important, especially when you're looking at maybe the age of a fighter and, who the speed go first, does power go first, speed go last, does power go last, right? But those conversations are probably never, ever going to end, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you like Tank, if you like Haney. I think all boxers should be working on their speed, and all boxers should be working on their power. But the thing is this: some people naturally are born with fast hands, quick twitch fibers. Some people are just born with naturally heavy hands, extreme power. Like, you just can't teach that. You can train and work on getting your weight behind your punches, but you just can't train someone to have naturally heavy hands. Like, the big man has to give that to you, okay? But speed does allow you to beat your opponent to the punch, and then the whole thing with power, basically is put your damn lights out, Now, interestingly enough, when we try to talk about what holds the advantage, right? Is it Devin Haney's speed, or is it Tank Davis's power? A lot of people, boxers, trainers, fans, they tend to favor that speed over power. Now, it's a pretty good argument when you think about it, since there's probably nothing more frustrating than having someone who's a bit quicker than you are, or significantly quicker than you are. Because I'll tell you, just from watching boxing, and for those of you who've done any sparring, doesn't matter on what level, right? If you've done any sparring or even slap box, right? There's probably nothing more frustrating or embarrassing or discouraging than having someone who's quicker than you, and their punches are always, or their slaps or whatever it is, always finding the target before yours do. Now, the thing is that most people who have super fast hands, that naturally have fast feet. So they'll come in, bink, bink, bink. And then before you can do anything, they're out of range. And you're there still trying to figure out how to put some punches together and get to this person. Now, talk about Devin Haney. Speed. Now, Tank has some speed too, but Devin Haney, I would say his hands maybe a little faster, right? But when you talk about Devin Haney, that's why in his speed, people have compared him to Floyd Mayweather. Now, we know Floyd, the fast hands, the movement, and that had a lot to do with his success in the ring, even probably the last 5 or 6 fights where he, for the most part, kind of slowed down a bit, was really just solely relying on that straight right hand. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when you look at Floyd, that's why so many of these young fighters, they're trying to copy the Mayweather blueprint. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. Even the shoulder roll, it still requires a certain amount of speed to be able to shoulder roll, catch, counter, roll out of there, right? But what would speed be, okay, without power when you're looking at Devin Haney with this 50% KO ratio? Now, the thing is this. Since we're talking about Mayweather, right? Look, Mayweather wasn't known for his power during the latter half of his career, but he's a powerful puncher. Now, he did knock out 27 of his opponents. Most of his knockouts occurred during the first half of his career. But, he had hand injuries, which forced him to be more defensive. But, his power never went away because no one just ran in there on Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, you could say Floyd Mayweather was getting them steroid injections in his hands. I mean, I'm not here to spread rumors. I'm not here to ruffle anyone's feathers. I'm definitely not one to take it to the stupid. I didn't have a big bowl of dumbass for breakfast. So don't hate on me. I'm just saying, may have been something going into those hands, but whatever it is, he dodged the bullet and got away with it, right? But some people to this day, I think they have Mayweather and his punching power kind of underrated. And some people, unfortunately, would question his speed. But I think his punching power, which he did have, but I think that was just as crucial. Maybe his speed, but maybe his speed was more crucial than his punching power. But he had enough power later in his career to still keep people off him. Maybe not to get him out with the one-hitter quitter, right? But that right hand of Mayweather, just like Devin Haney, able to consistently land it, and it prevents opponents from crowding him, following him out around the ring and wanting to just walk in on him. And that allowed him to execute, his game plan, which was, for the most part, speed dependent. Now, when you talk about Tank Davis and Devin Haney, is Devin Haney going to be able to execute a speed-dependent game plan and keep Tank Davis off of him? Now, what we know with Tank Davis is Tank doesn't have an issue getting inside and closing the gap because Tank Davis has speed too. He has head movement. He has defense. He has crazy angles. So once Tank Davis starts to cut that ring off and close the gap, then we're going to have problems because Tank Davis has the ability to throw punches off rhythm and to throw crazy combinations. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that Devin Haney is going to be able to keep Tank honest. There are going to be a lot of times in the fight where Devin Haney's going to be able to keep Tank honest because of Devin Haney's speed. He's the longer fighter. He's able to get in and out, half a step back, go out on angles, turn his opponent, and he ties fighters up. But how long can Devin Haney do that? See, that's the thing. Because when we talk about speed, and we look how Devin Haney uses it, right? Typically, we kind of look at it and we can refer to the time it takes to strike an opponent, right? To hit the target. And it also can mean for Devin Haney and even Tank, but for Devin Haney, right? How fast the opponent can actually move around the ring and react to the opponent's attack. That's what I was talking about. Normally, if a guy has super fast hands, his feet are probably fast too. So the power of the punch that Tank has, it's not. The power of, like with Tank, the power of his punch isn't only dependent on his strength, but it may be a situation where the speed and the agility that Devin Haney uses and can conjure up may help with his power, and that could be enough in spots to make the fight really interesting. But force equals mass times acceleration. So the faster a punch travels, the more force that lands with it. But I'm not sure Devin Haney will be able to set his feet and really let his hands go to try to get the mass and the weight behind the shot. Because if he sets his feet, that means he has to stop moving. And that could be a disaster for Devin Haney. Now, when you talk about other benefits of just him being the faster fighter, and now for those of you saying Tank has fast hands too, I know, but for the most part, we're just trying to break this down into a speed versus power conversation, right? So some of those other benefits that I'm seeing, when you have the kind of speed that Devin Haney has, now there's the odds kind of increase of surprising your opponent, right? Because the punch you don't see coming is the one that typically hurts you, right? So Devin Haney likes to throw super fast strikes, and it makes it extremely difficult for his opponents to evade, get out the way, block, because the time to react just isn't there, okay? It also can help to increase your output. Now, Devin Haney doesn't necessarily throw a whole lot of punches, but he will let his hands go. He's busy, and that's another thing. He has super stamina. He's in a super great condition, so he's able to keep his punches going and keeping his opponents thinking. And he ends up, kind of just cutting them up and discouraging them. So boxers usually throw combinations when they fight, and that's Devin Haney right there. So the faster you are, like a guy like Devin Haney, just the more punches you get to land. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you have a damn little red Solo cup in the middle of the floor and you have a bunch of ping pong balls. You throw one or two, it's probably not going to land. It's in the cup. But if you sit there and take that and you take about 30 or 40 shots with that ping pong ball, something's going to land in that cup. And that's kind of how it is with punching, and being a boxer and having that speed. More shots you let go, the more of a chance of you landing. Now, what else that speed does, and this is what Devin Haney is great at doing, he's able to counter the offense coming from his opponent. But at the same time, he's able to stop their counters. You see, fast punches leave your opponent with little time to react. You understand? So throwing a barrage of fast punches typically forces the opponent to kind of clam up or shell up or even step back or, whatever to try to avoid that damage until what you're dishing out comes to an end. So that's something that we've seen in all fights, especially with guys with fast hands. You think about a guy like Amir Khan. Let's forget about his chin. Talk about his hand speed. You look at what happened with him and Zab Judah. The damn speed was just too much. Him and Paulie Malignaggi. The speed was just too much. Even when he fought Lamont Peterson, the speed was just too much. There's something about somebody with super fast hands like that, okay? Now, speed also includes footwork and conditioning, which we already talked about all that. But being able to just change those angles and directions, it helps to open up that offense, man. And I think with Devin Haney, he has those fast defensive maneuvers. And he will slip punches. He will stand in the pocket and just, move just enough to get out the way of punches and let his combinations go. That uppercut, hook, straight right, or just coming underneath and coming up with a hook. Going to the body, rolling out, coming out on that angle, you can't see him, letting his shots go, all right? That's something that he does. So his speed, able to slip punches, it helps to make him a more elusive target, right? So when we talk about Tank, remember, Tank has speed too, but it's more power, for the most part, resides with Tank, more so than Devin Haney. Now, power is probably the greatest equalizer in boxing. It doesn't matter what's going on. Deontay Wilder. It can turn the outcome of a fight around like that. In an instance, 1 minute, you're down. Shit, you could be down the whole fight. And then out of nowhere, bing, bing, bing. It's not even bing, bing, bing. That's a combination. It's more like kaboom. Your opponent's out cold. Now, a good example of this, of course, we all know Deontay Wilder and all the, so many power punches, but I'm going to tell you a good example of where power matters. You remember when Sergio Martinez fought Chavez Jr.? He was out boxing him, wasn't he? He was giving him the business. He was Devin Haney in him. And then, was it like, 15 seconds left in the round or something like that? Chavez Jr. hit him with that kaboom. Martinez was all over the place. They could have stopped that fight, but it is what it is. So that's one of those instances where you talk about that power coming out of nowhere. And when you're chasing a puncher around, or if you slow down for a split second, that's what can happen. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, before I even finish talking about Tank, right? I personally think that's what's going to happen with Tank Davis and Devin Haney. I think that power is there from the first second of the first round to the last second of the last round, or the last second, or whenever the hell he ends the fight. But he is going to touch Devin Haney at some point. And what's going to happen? I don't know. But I would say there's a 93% chance that he knocks him out. And we talk about marketability. Look, fans love speed. Fans love the showboating. Fans love the flashy combinations. But fans love power punches, man. And they love power punchers. And that's why Tank Davis is what seems to be kind of blossoming into maybe the face of boxing. Because right now, you got Canelo out there, and you got AJ out there, and you got Tyson Fury, but Tank is on his way. And the other thing is, when you're a hard hitter like Tank Davis, I don't care what they say. You could talk about what Adrian Broner said about that sparring session between Tank and Davis, right? Tank earned his respect inside the ring between him and Devin Haney, because Devin Haney and them know that if Tank hits him, he can knock him out. But, I think Davis also realizes that Haney has a kind of speed where he has to be careful not to get caught with anything stupid. Now, one thing that I think you guys would agree with is the heavy punchers, they kind of get a chance to control the pace of the fights. Because what happens when you have someone in there with an equalizer in both hands, look, the opponent, like Devin Haney does, they're going to be worried about getting hit with them damn power shots. And he's going to be running around the ring. He's going to be more worried about getting hit than landing his punches. Okay? And that's just real. Now, maybe after round 6 or 7, then he'll start letting his hands go more. But he knows early in that fight, he just can't come in there and try to go at Tank Davis like he went at Kambosos. He just can't do that. Because Devin Haney is a fighter who doesn't really pack respectable power in his punches. And, he can find himself being crowded during the fight because, a guy like Tank Davis, he's just not going to respect what's coming out of those hands. And he's not going to be worried about getting out of the way. He's going to be trying to get to Devin Haney. And one thing, like I said, you got to be perfect the whole 12 rounds in there with Tank. Look, we've seen instances where boxers drop their guards and allow their opponent to hit them just to prove a point that the punches don't phase them. We've also seen instances where you got the guy who has super fast hands and fast feet, for a moment in time, has a lapse in judgment, and the opponent hits him with one shot or a combination, and maybe it's not the first punch or second punch that lands, but it's that last one. And he's a power puncher, and they get buzzed. Devin Haney, Jorge Linares, okay? But have you ever seen someone, when it comes to, let me see, who's someone out there who's a hard hitter, right? You ever seen someone doing any of that stuff where they let their hands down and let someone like let someone like Manny Pacquiao or hit him in the face, or like remember when Mike Tyson was fighting, or George Foreman or Deontay Wilder? Like, who's gonna drop their hands? Even Tank Davis, who's gonna drop their hands and let them punch him in the face? There was a small fighter back in the day. Most of y'all probably don't even know who I'm talking about. His left hand was as deadly as Tank Davis' left hand. Now, y'all need to go look up Vic Darchinyan. You can look up Vic Darchinyan. Watch and highlights of that little Armenian. and that crazy left hand he had. Talk about somebody with dynamite in his hand, and he was small. I don't even think he was like 118 pounds. Something smaller than that, but I bet you that joker could knock a horse out. So again, we're talking about that punching power. It needs to be respected, man. But again, you're not going to let somebody who hits hard like those guys get a free shot on you. Like your ass will end up being out in the crowd somewhere. Your head will be out in the crowd, right? So when you talk about Tank Davis and his advantages, right? It doesn't matter what happens between Tank Davis and Devin Haney in the fight. Devin Haney can be winning every round, but Tank will never be out the fight. He just has to land a one punch to turn things around. And we saw when Tank Davis fought Hector Garcia. I mean, the damn fight was pretty good, pretty competitive, both of them being careful. Hector Garcia was trying to, sit there, wait for Tank to let something go, counter him with the straight backhand left, come with the hook. But once Tank started to let his hands go and close the gap, using those angles, the first time Tank hit him clean, the fight immediately changed. I think it was in round 4. The fight changed. Hector Garcia wasn't trying to be in the range of nothing coming from Tank after that. And I saw it. I said, damn, his energy changed big time. Tucked his tail between his legs, and unfortunately, man, he got hit so hard that he went, the man got hit so hard he went blind. That's what he said anyway. But when you have that kind of power, man, hey, it's kind of hard for someone to start doubting themselves when they know at any time when things aren't going their way, just one shot, and all of a sudden things will go their way immediately, right? Again, when you have that kind of power like Tank, him against Devin Haney, I think even if Devin Haney tries to come out and set the tone, set the pace, I think Tank's going to control the action, right? Because he's going to find himself controlling the pace because what's his name? Devin Haney's going to be looking to move and sit back and try to counter him. So Devin Haney's going to have to figure out whatever strategies they're going to use to try to use Tank's aggressiveness and power against him. But again, I don't care how technical, how strategic Devin Haney and his team approach this fight. Tank doesn't have to be as technical. He doesn't have to be as strategic. He's got to be smart. But he doesn't need to do that because hard hitters, often they do well as professional boxers, even if they're lacking a technical department. Look at Edison Miranda. Y'all remember Edison Miranda? The Colombian fighting out of Puerto Rico? The man was out there in Colombia, man, eating roadkill. Picking up roadkill, skinning it and cooking it. Man had some power, got into a little bit of boxing, and he was able to make some good money. He messed his life up with, selling drugs and everything, foolish. Came back, I think, as a cruiserweight, a heavyweight. So, but at the end of the day, that's a good example of someone with power. Also, I'm throwing some names that you guys probably don't know, but, everyone knows about Deontay Wilder's story. Guys who just, because of the power they had, they were able to just, bubble up through the ranks and do great things. So, and the other thing that probably is an advantage for a heavy-handed fighter, again, I just think they win over more boxing fans. So, at the end of the day, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, I'm going with Tank Davis. But the fans right now are split. But I think when you really understand speed versus power, it just depends who can execute the game plan. But the problem is this: speed kills, but speed combined with power makes you an unstoppable force inside the ring. So understand what I just said, right? Clear your ears and listen. Speed kills. That's Devin Haney. His speed will kill you. But he's going to be fighting Tank Davis, hopefully, later this year. And the speed combined with power makes you an unstoppable force inside the ring, especially if you have high-level boxing technique to go with it. And Tank Davis has that. So don't tell me Devin Haney going to beat Tank Davis, because Devin has speed and Devin has his paw. Yo, kill the noise. Don't take it to the stupid. Because Tank has the speed, he has Calvin Ford, and he has the power, and he has high-level boxing IQ and technique to go with it. So that's why I'm picking Tank Davis, man. period. Y'all think I'm joking? Shit, that's why they compare him to Mike Tyson. Look at them Tyson fights. You see speed, power, technique, intelligence. It is what it is. And that's why they say speed kills. But when you have the power and everything else, makes you a formidable force. And that's why Tank is just out here, when he gets in these rings, on cruise control. And that speed combined with that devastating punching power, that's why he's so successful, man. Anyway, man, y'all continue working on improving your justification for Devin Haney beating Tank Davis. I think I just explained to you who I thought the best boxer was going to be. I try to be as fair as possible. But I'm going to say it again for those y'all out there who want to take it to the stupid. Speed kills. That's Devin Haney. But the speed combined with power, with high-level boxing technique and intelligence, is an unstoppable force. Now, if you enjoyed this video, consider donating, because I really put a lot of time into this. Donate to the channel, like, subscribe. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Tank Davis will knock out Devin Haney, and I'm in the breeze.